And she said, "Because we do not talk like that. No." Hi, I'm Andi Ardnt. I narrate End of Story by Kylie Scott. I generally bring hot water, lozenges, my bullet journal to take notes, and a pillow to muffle my tummy rumbles. Well, I like to warm up my body and then my voice, so I like to take a brisk walk, followed by some of the warm-up exercises that I learned studying Kristen Linklater's Freeing the Natural Voice technique. And if I'm feeling energetic and playful, maybe I'll throw in a little karaoke, especially after lunch. Well, when I was a kid, I had this blue portable record player that I got to keep in my room. And I had a two-sided LP from the Let's Pretend series. And on one side was Hansel and Gretel, and on the other side was this story that I didn't listen to very often because it scared me, called The Bewitched House in the Forest. Well, I love nature sounds and I love morning sounds. And so I have to say my favorite sound would probably be a loon calling out from a lake in Minnesota in the morning. I grew up in the Twin Cities, and there are gradations of the Minnesota accent, but I do remember one time talking with a very serious family member who did not like the movie Fargo, and I asked why, and she said, "Because we do not talk like that. No." Can we just talk about Kylie Scott's gift for writing snappy dialogue for a second? Because the dialogue from her characters is always authentic to who they are, moves the story along. Sometimes they even surprise themselves because their mouths get ahead of their brains. She very often has characters who just don't like talking lovey-dovey. Those are some of the most fun scenes because these kind of, prickly people have to figure out how to declare their love. I prefer variety, so sometimes I like solo narration because I get to cast all the roles and just go. And sometimes I like multicast. That feeds me in a different way. I have people to play off of. And I have to confess that one of my narrator bucket list items is to feel the smooshy, deep pile carpet of Audible's full cast studio under my sock feet before I retire. And I wouldn't complain if Richard Armitage were to my left or Jonathan Cake were to my right. Just saying. Wow, by far the most rewarding part of my job is when I get to connect with listeners who let me know, how audiobooks, including audiobooks that I've narrated, have kept them company or helped them through a rough time or made them laugh or made them think. That is super rewarding. I have to say, being a freelance full-time narrator means wearing a lot of different hats. And so over the years, I really have had to learn how to manage my time, set boundaries. I had to learn a whole lot about business and a whole lot about technical aspects that I never thought that I would have to learn. It's all been rewarding, but it hasn't all been easy. I get to work with so many amazing authors already, but I would have to say an author like Curtis Sittenfeld or Francine Prose or Julia May Jonas. I love stories that make me go, "Oh, that's true. I hate that that's true, but that's true. Oof." Yeah, I truly loved The Sunshine Girls by Molly Fader that came out late last year. It's a double timeline story, so some scenes take place in the present and some take place when the character's mother and her generation were in college in the 1960s. And my mom and her sisters were in their 20s in the 1960s. So I really enjoyed that as just a reminder of how different generations of women move differently through the world, depending on what their rights are and what the political situation is and what the family expectations are. This is a big one. My advice to aspiring narrators would be to always remember that first and foremost, this is an acting job. So you might have a really pleasing voice to listen to, but it's like just because you're tall doesn't mean you're great at basketball, or to use a romance analogy, that is really impressive, but do you know what to do with it? Spending as much time as possible outside.